that you may have.
Thanks, Mr. Watson. Mr. Rosenbaum, let me start with you. The prosecutor from Ukraine made it clear that they are prosecuting Russian individuals in the domestic courts of that country for war crimes. In fact, they have successfully prosecuted some already. They are still looking for an international venue for a court that goes beyond what they can prosecute in Ukraine. Is that our position, or you believe should be our position in the United States, that both are necessary?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We at the Department of Justice welcome ongoing discussions about possibilities for international tribunals being constituted to address these horrible crimes, crimes of the kind that we saw in the video that you screened and in these heartbreaking images around the room. We know from experience at Nuremberg and more recent experiences in The Hague involving the International Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia and the International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda that was in Arusha, Tanzania, and other such efforts that these kinds of modalities of addressing such crimes can be very effective. But as always, it's the details that matter, and again, we welcome exploration of those possibilities.
It would seem to me that in light of the unpopular conscription effort by Putin at the present time, it's important that the United States and other nations who oppose Putin's aggression make it clear that there will be accountability, even for untrained soldiers being handed guns and sent into combat. Do you think this is an important moment to make that point clear?
We at the Department of Justice certainly agree that every opportunity that exists to send the message of deterrence ought to be seized upon, and we have been doing that. The Attorney General has said publicly in Ukraine and elsewhere that there will be no hiding place for war criminals. That's our goal. And that we will be relentless with our partners in Ukraine and elsewhere in pursuing accountability. In particular, a message that a number of us have tried to send to the Russian side, so to speak, is if you are daring to consider obeying a criminal order, you should worry that there might be an American in your line of sight. And that could be, that would include a dual citizen, because then we may have jurisdiction, and we have a long memory here in the United States.
I was asked in the hall, does that mean Vladimir Putin could be found guilty? I said, depending on the evidence and facts and the law, yes. Do you agree?
I'm not going to speculate on individual cases. You know, at the Department of Justice, we have prosecutorial standards set out in the Justice Manual regarding the availability of sufficient admissible evidence to probably win a conviction in court, and we're supposed to consider alternatives, including other venues for possible trial. So I can't speculate on individual cases, but there is rampant criminality and lots of responsibility to go around.
Let me ask you, Mr. Watson, we have evidence that the Department of Homeland Security is currently pursuing more than 1,700 leads of perpetrators of war crimes and crimes against humanity and other human rights violations from approximately 75 different countries. 1,700 leads of people who are living right here in the United States. These are the known leads. The actual number may be just even higher. When the Department of Homeland Security discovers a perpetrator here in the United States, what options does it have for ensuring that that perpetrator will not enjoy safe haven status in our country?
We have numerous options available that will begin with our Human Rights Violators and Coordination Center. So our investigative support teams, as well as our human rights targeting tracking teams, will commence research through open source as well as databases and sometimes classified holdings to develop a crime pattern as it relates to a region, and then from there, people that are associated with those crime patterns. After those folks are identified, we then work to prepare a package, an investigative referral that can be then sent to HSI field offices for coordination with the U.S. Attorney's Office or the ICE Office of the Principal Legal Advisor to confirm if there are criminal options available on the table, and if there are no criminal options on the table, then to explore the possibility of administrative options that may be available to facilitate that person's apprehension
But let me
and
get, Mr.
ultimately
Watson, I'm
removal.
out of time. I want to ask this one question. If you have 1,700 leads, why have we not heard of more prosecutions? Go ahead.
I'm sorry, the investigations take time because more often than not, it requires an extensive workup. Most of these events occur over a period of time, and the challenge is that, one, we have to identify and locate witnesses, and sometimes those witnesses are OCONUS, outside of the United States. So we'll have our regional support teams and field agents that will need to travel, conduct interviews, gather evidence, and then from there present that evidentiary material and/or witness findings to an assistant United States attorney for determination as to whether or not criminal charges are viable. With that being said, that sometimes can be the delay in, one, conducting the investigations and/or two, initiating appropriate administrative proceedings.
I would just close by saying our credibility on this issue depends on results. Thank you.